the last panel of the day, and we just went through a very technical panel just now. It was amazing, actually. So I guess just quick intros from us while we're waiting for the other panelists to come. So I'm Nenter. I head up portfolio strategy and also venture investments for Animoca Ventures, which is the early stage Web3 investment arm for Animoca brands. We typically focus on, I think we're known for gaming, but we also focus a lot on consumer dApps, some infra, some DeFi, everything across the board. Have not actually done too much on the AI and FHE side. So wanted to also learn a bit more from folks like Ivan who have invested in this area.
Yeah, hello everyone. So let's make it not too serious, right? So this is Ivan, founding partner of Token2049 Ventures. As you know, Token2049 Ventures is an early stage investment firm. Our office is across from Singapore, Taipei, Panelists, and recently based in San Francisco Bay Area. So yeah, a lot of early stage deals since 2017. Proud investor of my network as well. Very beginning, yes. So I just want to share some alphas, but what kind of alphas you guys want to know right now? For example, we invest in a lot of Bitcoin projects, right, as well as AI projects. But most interesting, recently I would say we are one of the biggest ecosystem investor in Sui ecosystem. So you can see the token price recently at Sui because they are doing a lot of stuff recently, massively going to the market, and they changed their brand. Used to be very Web2 thinking. Right now, they embrace the Web3 game rules. So, yeah, if you don't have a bag, you might as well consider, buy my bag.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think when especially, I think historically they've had maybe less focus on the community building side. I think it's been very strong. I think they have a great head of ecosystem, especially in the APAC, bring on a lot of folks from different ecosystems such as Solana, and also in the Middle East, in Dubai, GAF Capital, which is probably one of the second largest VC out in the Middle East for Web3 next to Cypher. Those guys are very focused on the Sui ecosystem. I think they recently set up a program to help local devs learn the movement language so they can start building there. So I definitely see a lot of long-term planning for the Sui ecosystem, which is why I completely agree with Ivan that it's probably good to pick a little bag.
It's not a move conference right now. So let's take 2 steps back. While waiting for the other panelists, what you guys want to know? I want to get some sense. Anything?
So I'm wondering, what's your take on decentralized AI and FHE? Because as for FHE, it's still very early, yes, so it doesn't really work for complex LLMs like neural networks and so on. And as for decentralized AI, I'm seeing a lot of different decentralized AI marketplaces and so on, and they are getting VC funding and so on. But I'm curious, what's your take on this, from the VC perspective?
Cool. All right. So to my limited knowledge, to answer this question, I would say centralized AI. So why you need FHE? Why you need, for example, decentralized AI? But because you want to protect the privacy or you want to protect the data, right? How can you use the data meanwhile not revealing the content, right? That's the purpose, right? So a few advantage of FHE, I would say, first of all, there's no trust third party needed because it's automatically done everything. And secondly, I would say it can eliminate the trade-off of reviewing the data and the data usage. Yeah, because how can you get the data, and without knowing that, and you can leverage that, right? So that's FHE. The third one, I would say, I forgot the third one, but in a sense, just I hope that I answered your question for a little bit. To my knowledge, centralized AI, basically, for example, like Google, they got AI, right? Like Apple, they got AI. So they have to collect all the data, and most likely they know the data. They know like the data inside out, right? And then we don't want that. Why I need to reveal my birthday? Why I need birthday is okay. What about my DNA, right? That's a homeland security level issue. So yeah, by saying that, I would say we do need FHE for sure, because we have so many sensitive data, especially those medical data, especially those say military informations. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much.
So the applications of FHE are pretty clear, and there's a lot of promises and opportunities in the space. But I guess the real question here is it how do the VCs look at the risk of it being a very early technology that is very slow to, for example, run a complex LLM or image analysis on a medical?
Well, you just took my question, sir, but that's a good question, yeah. So no, we'll definitely get around to answering that. I think maybe first we can, maybe have another introduction from our second panelist here, just to give him an intro.
Hey everyone. Hey everyone, I'm Louis from SevenX Ventures. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right. To answer your question, what was the question again? Is it too early to invest in this domain, or is it?
The question I have, I guess, is how do VCs look at the risk of the technology being early? Because FHE is like amazing in theory, obviously, and it unlocks so many use cases. But it's also very early, and it's not fully developed yet to the point of being able to use in like production settings, especially with bigger, let's say, models that analyze like bigger images or LLMs. Without the question.
Okay, so I'm not the expert, but we invest in FHE back in 2018. It was too early, trust me, just too early. And what does VCs do? We trace for margin. We support founders. We take the risk with the founders. Because if founders should take all the risk, there's no new technology in the world, right? You need like government support. You need VC support. I would say distributed the risk. So we can get some experiments going on, right? And then we can get to have a new tech, new tool, new product to better help this world. So is it too early, or what's the risk? Okay, I now know your question. So what kind of risk? So first of all, use cases, right? A lot of founders or a lot of projects, their thinking is, I can do this, so I do this first, and then I don't know who to use this, right? But that's probably not right, because you need a lot of elements in position so your business works. For example, there's a demand, and there's a product market fit, and you need to deliver the product. By delivering the product, you probably have some innovations, so you don't do this exactly the same thing like previously, like a lot of people done already, right? So this first risk is product market fit. I would say like where's the demand, right? Secondly, I think it's difficult enough if you don't have a bunch of PhDs, or it's resisting content attack. So it's definitely not easy. But again, I'm not a PhD, so not very entitled to answer that. But it's gonna be pretty hard. You got some take on this?
No, man. I think just from broadly speaking, from a VC perspective, you have to it all comes down. Is it too early? Yes and no, depending on your time frame, right? If you're thinking from a traditional Web3 VC's perspective, is it too, or how many years, right? Typically, a lifespan of a VC fund in Web3 could be 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. For us, 7 years. So then it comes down to because what are we here for? A, to support builders, and but B, profitability, right? Return value back to our shareholders and ROI. So from that perspective, can you argue that it's early? Let's say you launched, let's say an FHE project launches a token, right? Is it too early for there to be enough application, like wide use of applications considering the high computational overhead? Yeah, possibly. Is it too early for the average token holder and purchaser to understand it and to see the value in it? Could be. It could be from that perspective. But from a long-term builder's perspective, I think these are things that are put into consideration, right? And these are the risks that we take as VC investors. It could be, maybe it changes, towards the end of our fund's life cycle, but that doesn't mean that I think from our thesis, like the thesis can we all, when we're making an investment for any sector, right? Infra, consumer, DeFi, etc. How it ultimately plays out, that's the risk you have to take. It's a high risk, high reward business. So I think what Ivan said is correct. It ultimately comes down to from what perspective you're looking at it, from a profitability perspective or from real world application. I don't know if you have any.
Shall we go to your question to make it easier? I mean, sorry, you want something? Let's go. Yeah.
I'm a researcher in AI. I do not know much about FHE. I want to ask, is the kind of FHE or other privacy security technology catching up the gap like between privacy and non-private AI, or is the gap being widening? Because from AI law, what I'm seeing is there is no rejection that the scaling law is very effective. OpenAI is trying to securing more power, more compute, and the valuation just got raised again to build an even larger AI. So the technology of AI is moving very fast. Scaling law is still effective. But is the privacy and security technology catching up the gap to maybe taking more application space of the AI? Or is the gap being widening? Because at the user side, they're always trading off between utility and privacy. If the utility provided by AI is large enough, they will just give up privacy for these application cases.
Okay, that's a good question. And I think our third panelist just joined us as well. So I'm not sure. Before we answer that question, maybe if you'd like to also make an introduction.
Yeah, definitely. Great to meet everyone. My name is Rishin. I'm an investor over at CoinFund. CoinFund is among one of the earliest investors in space. We've been backing founders since 2015, headquartered over in New York City, and yeah, I've been spending a lot of time kind of in the intersection of all these areas. So yeah.
So I don't know if Rishin, I'm not sure if you heard his question or if anyone had wanted to.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really interesting question. Yeah, so what we have seen, right, from conventional AI progress over the past few years is scaling laws are still holding. You add more compute, you add more data, and you see model improvements. But here's, I think, where privacy really begins to slot in. So take the most advanced open source models today. So Llama 3 405B is trained on something like 15 trillion tokens, which is basically the entire open crawl of the internet. So the most state-of-the-art models today are already trained on everything that could possibly be publicly available. And this is why we're seeing companies like OpenAI and others really start getting into the data licensing deals, where Reddit is able to monetize their data set in kind of the realm of 200 million, something like that. There's private data is becoming the next leg of where progress is going to come from, because you've essentially exhausted what is available on OpenCrawl today. And so where private computations become really, I think, interesting is there's still trillions of tokens of data that sit within financial institutions, within healthcare institutions, and these are applications which like today AI is not solving problems for because like there's not rich enough context data, and like when you think about like both regulatory concerns and also like business model concerns for a lot of these companies, like what's necessary to bridge that gap from a technical perspective is some early solutions on yeah, how can you do like private fine tuning, how can you do private inferencing, and I mean like the ultimate killer use case will be like how can you do private training as well. So I think like what we're seeing is yeah, continued growth on the general AI front, but over time like this kind of technology is going to just be more necessary. But it's a great question.
Yeah, since we've been taking questions from the from the audience, I don't know if there's anyone else that has any anything in particular that you would be interested to hear from the panelists. Okay, well, I mean, I guess the I guess first and foremost because I know you guys have all invested in Mind Network, and I think I'm the only one up here from Animoca that has not invested in it. So I guess I'm curious to hear your thesis when you guys did make the investment. I know Ivan, you invested in pretty early in 2018 in space, and then Rishin, I think you guys were one of the very early. Well, on the are you guys invested in?
Not specifically, but yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Louis, yeah, love to. So maybe Louis can chime in.
Oh, it's just like so we invest very early, like probably July 2022. So at that time, like the Mind, because the Mind team has a previous experience to dealing with like the AI and the data. So at that time, we just feel like the team is really solid. And also previously the narrative is still they want to build a private database, like for the social graph and also in the other like different cases. And then like we can see the huge progress like from founders, like every time I chat with them, they have the better understanding about AI, about crypto. So that's the reason why like after working with them for 2 months, we decided to invest in them.
I'll share a little bit, but so this is my partner Nicole led the deal. So I'll add some more color on that. So first of all, of course, Louis mentioned the team, right? So my partner was pretty close to the founding team, and by the time goes, we work with the team, so we know team is solid for sure. But narrative back then it wasn't really there. But something I want to share is how important privacy it is, because why we have blockchain technology. One thing of this is that so how you protect the data or how you transfer the data. It's just like everything about data, right? So I'm a big time big DeFi fan, right? I use lending protocols, all the DEXs, even CDP on a daily basis. So what I hate is something checking my wallet, right? So that's just very, very pure, very, very simple intense. I don't want to reveal anything on chain. But as you know, on blockchain, a lot of data, a lot of information is so transparent. So back then, the idea was just, hey, we need a solution to protect ourselves. And then I'm sure there's a certain ratio of the people in the market, in this world, they care about their privacy and they want to protect some certain level of their, I would say, informations. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And look, I mean, for us, right? We're, at Animoca, it's really about everything comes down to sort of, partnerships and collaborations. That's what we're sort of ecosystem builders, by default. So I'm curious how you guys view, what sort of partnerships and ecosystems would benefit, a company like Mind Network, for example. And or any FHE AI provider that you believe would be critical to its future success. I'm not sure anyone can take it.
Okay, I don't want to go first, but I go first. Yeah. So the question was. Oh, I got it. question was.
Just I guess for the future success of like the Mind Network, what sort of communities, partnerships, and collaborations would benefit it the most? Since Web3, it's all. I mean that it always comes down to that.
Okay. Yeah. In most of the cases, you don't need this kind of level of security, data security, right? So it's either say probably like insurance companies, military facilities. Something data is very, very sensitive and need to protect. So you need this level of like protection, right? So I would say collab with for example, like government is one of the ways. So I'll share one example. So we were at the investment dinner with Shiba Inu. So everybody knows it's a meme coin, right? And then they are developing a new blockchain as well, and they are working with the top 3 countries in the world. One of them. So they are developing kind of like country blockchain, right? But does their technology? I hope that no one in like Shiba team is here. But does their technology or their capability better than my network? I don't know. But why don't they just work with the my network and then my network can deliver and provide the product. And but Shiba team can provide the community and the support and the visibility. I would say visibility is very, very important. That's why you do marketing. That's why you do massively. A lot of people work with the KOLs and everything, right? So, just contribute what you are good at. I'm sure. So Shiba Inu community is more than 100 million people, right? There's a great visibility. And my network, we have great product and great tech. So why don't we combine together and then make it even better?
So I still think for the area like the decentralized science, like so you can say like with the healthcare data and also with the patient data, you can use like the public data to do like the training, and that reason why like for the deep science space, like I think it's a great area to explore with like the AI and also like the private computing, private training.
Yeah, I think probably the most interesting use cases and applications that I've seen have been primarily in AI. So both at like the inference level and also fine-tuning level.
Okay, and I was given the timer, so we have one last question. I guess from I think based on one of the audience's question before, and we were discussing, ultimately it comes down to, are we there yet where the average person would want to purchase the token, for example, right? FHE, obviously privacy is something that I care about deeply, and certainly for the panelists as well. But we also have seen that narrative over time. You had several privacy chains, tokens that had captured mind share for some time. Some called the curse token, which will not be named. Others, just sort of went away. And it's always been interesting to me why the privacy narrative has not necessarily been as sticky as it should be, considering the ethos of decentralization and Web3 sort of. I think it goes hand in hand. So I guess in your mind, at what point does this start mattering to the average crypto participant, that this matters and that there is value to the token?
I think that a lot of privacy today is basically privacy being pitched as a feature, whereas if we look at like privacy standards that exist in Web 2, it exists as a standard, right? And that's like a fundamental change, because at the end of the day, like users will not pay for privacy. Like they won't. It's something that's been demonstrated again and again and again, like where it's like, okay, like user data, we can talk to death about like how important like privacy is. At the end of the day, like how much are people thinking about whenever they are like denying or confirming preferences like for cookies, right? It's not relevant. But at the same like vein, if we kind of like study how like encryption methods, like take something like HTTPS, where a decade ago, maybe 5–10% of internet traffic was actually encrypted, whereas like today it's like 95%. And what happened was basically like attack vectors, whether it was like like credit card information or login information that was like leaked out of these like really high profile hacks, like made it very clear and obvious that like privacy was necessary as a standard for applications to build in and embed into solutions. Because like a user first onboarding is not necessarily going to be the one that I think is the way that happens. So I think like what it'll look like is is kind of like more attack vectors are surfaced. These sort of solutions will be implemented more as standard, and then that's when you see mainstream adoption. But timing is everything.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense.
All right. I mean, 100% agree. You won't really care about it until you get hurt, right? So just briefly answer this question: how like crypto average people, why does it matters, right? So I'll give it a very shallow point of view. So we care about token price, right? And we care about great narrative. And who's gonna be listed on the biggest exchange in the space as the first FHE token? I think it's probably this one, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, very honest, right? So to average crypto people, what does they care? They want to make money. Let's be honest. We are in crypto. We've been seeing this for 8 years, 9 years already. So I would say narrative is one thing, and then we really need to drive the narrative as well, because not just product talks, we need other elements in position as well. Yeah.
We definitely need some PMF, like so crypto cannot be like just pure narrative for many years. Then the whole industry will die.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think, when it comes down to it, I think ultimately we're here not for narrative. It's ultimately, for what the product can do. So definitely agree with that. I think for the, just because this is a, sort of VC panel, I think folks are always, always want to understand sort of from that, that perspective as well. Thanks to all three panelists, Rishin, Lewis, and Ivan.